Hello again. Last updates for this weekend. Next update will probably be next weekend. It's because it's harder for me to do this kind of stuff when I don't have the entire day to work on it. You got most of the day, but not the whole day. So, what I have done here, first and foremost, is as you can see, if you saw before. Anyways, okay. I decided that I'm gonna have everything drawn and nothing painted. Originally, I wanted to have like a mixture of the like drawn out art style, like the bench over there. Can I maybe get a close up of the? Oops. I want to get a close up of the bench I'm referencing, which is a lot easier to do when you are. Oh well. Oh gosh. Okay, so there's all my socials that don't even exist anymore. Okay, well, it was a good idea originally. Now it is a. Well, you know that there's a bench. Okay, like the bench. And then like how I had the beach before, where it was kind of like, I mean, it was just conceptual. It wasn't finished, but I was gonna have it painted. But I think having it drawn out in the style in which are outlines in terms of the world environment, I forgot some rocks on the left. I'll go back to those later. I think it's gonna be better for holding everything together and so the art style is fluid. My character art, which is what I primarily do, have most of my experiences in character art, not really in environment. So we're learning as we're going. Tends to have like outlines. Tends to be a specific kind of style, where the shading is usually less cartoony, but the structure of it is more cartoony, and so that's just how I learned to draw. So I started drawing as a kid, and it's become a big part of my style. So I figured, screw it, we'll see how it goes if I just have everything drawn out like that. And I think it looks a lot better. Looks a lot more together. I did have to outline all of the rocks instead of, because they're all made up of one singular PNG that I drew out, but I didn't draw outlines on that for the reasons already stated. So now, so I went and I drew over all of them individually, and I think them all being, every single one of those rocks being drawn out individually, like outlined individually, does give them different shapes, and I feel like even the imperfections of it gives it character, and it feels a lot more real. So that's the art style of it. I got rid of the grassy part of the beach. Didn't really seem like something I should have, so I got rid of that. And the texture, there's a little bit of a texture. It might be hard to see on here now, but maybe when we start the game. In the water you could see it. I'm using texture brushes, just full transparency. I'm using texture brushes for the texture, stuff like that, for now. It looks good, and if I were to be drawing this in hand, I would also probably do something like that, and it keeps my original wanting to have like a certain kind of texture in the game for environment, so that works. Let's get into the more fun stuff. Start the game. Okay. So what I have figured out so far, that's new as compared to yesterday, is if you look over at the, and also I changed the fade around. Might change that more. I'm probably gonna change that fade more now I'm looking at it on the smaller screen in OBS. But we'll get there when we get there. I do want that to be a part of this scene, though. So, firstly, make sure you can't. Okay, I want to make sure that there's collision there. I need to put a little bit more collision right here. So I don't. So the collision is done. The collision that I'm using, it's done through invisible tiles, and some of those tiles let you walk on them, some don't. It's kind of hard to place around when you can't see a visual thing. But if you look at that, you know what I need to do? Hold on, I'm just gonna do this. It'd be easier, just do it like this. If you look at the, let me scoot up a little bit and get in game. The little notebook right there is animated. Well, the animation is actually a separate thing, and I drew that out. So I learned how to. I want everything to be hand drawn. If anything that I can technically hand draw, I want to be hand drawn, including particles. So I figured out how to do that, and I just put together a quick little particle thing. I like the way that it's animated, so I'm probably going to keep that at least for a while. But that's going to be fun because I'm going to be able to hand draw and hand animate everything that would be animated that I want to be animated. I'll have to figure out the nitty gritty of all of that, but for now I have that. And if you watch over here, hold on, actually I need to change the screen. Oh my god, OBS has like an issue sometimes when it comes to like clicking on the screen to select what you want to select. Not a big deal, but I am going to change all the word boxes, right? Like the character speak and game stuff. I'm gonna change those. I'm gonna draw them out and have them like hand drawn and everything, but not yet. I'll probably work on that another day. So it has that little thing and it tells you about the notebook. And when you click on the notebook, this is your save function. So that's essentially going to be your bonfire or your Moogle, however you want to look at it. And then when I save, the animation is gone. So I think that'll be a nice way of letting you know that you haven't like activated a save. Really, what I have that there for is so that you walk over to that specific spot. Now, there is another, not everything's going to have that, right? So there are going to be spots in the game, like over here, where you go up to a something and it has a dialogue box, right? So like here it says, these rocks are really big, it's a mystery how they got here. Brother told me it was aliens just to scare me. I don't believe in silly kid things like that though. And then, of course, the event over here, where is that? There it is. I'm gonna draw out something at a point, probably again another day, because it's 3:17 and I've been working on this since yesterday morning. Learning how to do things mostly, but still, is still what it is. But I think I'm gonna figure out some overlays to have, so it looks more like you're in the water. But to be fair, the little shadow kind of does translate pretty well. The only thing is that with the outline here, it does kind of, it's fine. The point is for it to have a style, and I want that style to be in my style, and hopefully it all comes together. Well, I would say right now, it's looking pretty good, comparatively. It's looking a lot more fluid and everything. Shadows that I have, I'll be honest with you, I forgot to. I put 2 layers together to make my life easier. And a couple of those 2 layers were the rocks and the shadow of the rocks. And I did that for a reason when I was doing it. But when I saved the PSD, I forgot to fix that. So I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. I could go in and shadow it a different way. It's a fixable issue. But I'm not sure if I want the shadows on objects and world design and everything to be... Right now I have them as like soft brush shadows. I like it. I think I might keep that. We'll see. I gotta get into more than just a beach. But that's it. Not a lot, but yeah, but like the world event down here, right? So like when you like a world event, I don't know, map event. When you go over to here and then you drown, right? Like this scene, stuff like that. I'm not going to have an indicator for. At least not all the time. I originally thought that was just kind of like a funny like haha look gag, you know. But now after thinking about it, I think that's good in terms of game design, because it does tell the player that there are consequences in the game, and things might go a way that you might not expect, and that those consequences could be serious consequences. And it also lets the player know that anything could happen at any point. Dark Souls did that. Dark Souls 1 did that with that boulder that the skeleton kicks at you. Spoilers, I guess. Um, that does a good job at letting the player know that stuff could happen. You can't necessarily feel safe at any point. I think that's good, especially for the vibe that I want this game to have. But that's it so far. Might not seem like much, but it's coming together, and I'm learning a lot. And it's not necessarily easy stuff. It's so much easier than working with Unity on Unreal, for sure. But I don't know the engine. So learning it is always hard to learn something that you just don't know. But all things considered, I think I'm picking it up pretty easy. It does help that I have experience in other engines, but this is also very different. In a way I like. I'm going to be completely honest. I like this engine. It is fun to work with, and it's just a good opportunity for me to work creatively. I'm really proud of the animation. So next thing I'm going to do is get the player characters, the child version done, including like the art for her and moving around and everything. I like the sprite. I'm going to get all that done, and then I'm going to move on to other more complicated stuff. And ultimately, everything that you look at is still not necessarily decided upon. However, I do think that having this fluid art style works, and it's not too cartoony. Like, it is cartoony, but I think it's going to be nice. I think that having like a dark fantasy, Dark Souls, turn-based RPG, like my inspirations are like straight up Final Fantasy IX, Fear and Hunger, Dark Souls, and Clair Obscur. Those are my big influences in terms of the tone. And my art style is influenced from like David Firth and Katie Towell. Scary kids scaring kids stuff. Look up Katie Towell on YouTube and see if you can find some of her old cartoons. They're really cool. So I think all of that will come together really well to be like a cool package. Really, the biggest thing is I just got to figure out everything else. So I'll see you when we get there. That's an update. Bye.